Hello everyone, it's Beth Willoughby with East Kentucky, I'm sorry.
Start over.
Hello everyone, it's Beth Willoughby, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and this is the first episode of 2020 Quarantine Yo-Yo Stamp Club. Welcome everyone. Today I want to feature the Artistic Blooms suite that is located on pages 130 to 132 of your annual catalog. You all should all have your annual catalog by now. If anyone needs one, please let me know. So there are several really nice elements of the Artistic Blooms suite. The first is the stamp set, which is called Hand Drawn Blooms. I'm going to raise this up here. Bear with me. Like I said, this is our first video, and I'm not sure about focusing and so forth. There's the stamp set, Hand Drawn Blooms. It has an accompanying die set that's called Banner Blooms Dies, which we'll be using today. Also, some gems. This is the Artistry Blooms adhesive backed sequins. And I love that they have adhesive backs. You can see you have your pale blue, corals, champagne, and pink. We'll be using those today as well. In addition, there is paper, and this paper is something else. Now, I've already cut some of it up, so I don't have entire sheets of all of it, but I'm going to show you fronts and backs of these. Very vibrant colors. Nice. This looks almost like leopard spots. And last but not least, also they have the most beautiful rainbow glimmer paper. Now this is one of my favorite things out of the new catalog. It is gorgeous. I don't know if it shows up great on camera, but it's very shimmery and it has the beautiful ombre colors in it. We'll be using that today as well. Okay. I'm going to show you both the cards that we're going to be doing today, and then we'll move on with the demonstration. These are what we're going to do. This is the first. I'm going to hold it up here a little bit where you can see it, hopefully. Like I said, bear with me because it's all new. This is the second with the rainbow glimmer paper. I fooled with this quite a bit, trying to figure out what the projects were going to be. It's very versatile, and I'll show you a couple of the different things that I did with it before we get started on the projects. First, I did some fussy coloring with the colored pencils. The images are very small in this stamp, so it does take quite a bit of patience to do that, but I thought it came out really pretty. Of course, I stamped these elements way too far apart. You can see that. Then I stamped in navy on a piece, on a piece of designer series paper from the Artistry Blooms paper. And again, I don't know if you can see this, but I took some of the crystal elements, shimmery crystal elements, and just went over a few of the flowers in there, and it made them very glossy and pretty. I heat embossed in white on this one. Oh my goodness, I hope you don't get dizzy. And used colored pencils. And you can see that using the colored pencils shows up really great against the colored cardstock. So that was a nice element. And I wanted to see how the colored pencils showed up on black. Now I only did one flower with this, but you can see that the blue shows up very nicely, if that's something that you'd like to try. with a very shaky hand, I heat embossed in white on designer series paper. So that's it. Okay, now we're going to start on the project. For the first project, I used the die cut, the main element of the die cut, and I cut this out of watercolor paper. I used a 4.5 by 5.5 sheet of watercolor paper to cut out the element. This is the way it looks when you do this. This is it. And I used yellow, daffodil yellow for the card base, made it a top folding card. Okay. This is a 3 by 5.5 piece of pool party that we're gonna use for the mat. Like I said, you all bear with me. I've got it going all over the place here. Okay, we're gonna use the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder to emboss just the front of our card. For the daffodil yellow base card, I used the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder to give it a little bit of extra texture. If you can see that there, okay? So the only thing really left for this card is to do a little watercoloring on the die cut. Super easy and fast. And for that, I used the new watercolor pens that Stampin' Up put out in this new catalog. There are 3 different sizes. As you can see, I've already well used this one. The small detail, the larger, and the flat brush tip. And these are very, very handy. Today, since this is a really small element, I'm going to use the small brush tip. And if you've never used one of these watercolor pens before, of course, you can unscrew this, you fill it with water, and here we go. You want to squeeze it lightly. As you see, the water comes out very well there to get some control. And I'd suggest, if you've never used these, to practice on a piece of scrap paper at first. And I've put a little bit of re-inker in each of these colors today. We're going to use Highland Heather, the new in color Magenta Madness. I don't have refill for that yet, so we'll just have to fake it on that one. Poppy Parade, Pool Party, Soft Seafoam, and Daffodil Delight, as well as a little Granny Apple Green. Okay, let me go ahead and apply some re-inker to a couple of these. I love watercolor, all the different effects that you can get from it. Let's see, which was this one? Soft Seafoam. Okay, so let's get started. Now, you don't have to squeeze your brush continually. If you do, it's gonna make a nasty mess. Just get the water down in your brush. You can dip it in your re-inker here. I went through and used the Soft Seafoam, which you can see really doesn't show up that pale on most of the stems and leaves that I could identify. I hope you can see this. It was hard to get everything set up. Hopefully, as we go along, we'll figure out the best angles and focus for this. A lot of the YouTubers and and demonstrators have really expensive setups, and I just did not want to go through that as a beginner. So we'll make do with what we're doing and learn as we go. I hope y'all are up for that. Now, as I go through here, I know I'm going to identify some more leaves, but that's the thing about art, right? It's opportunities to excel. How'd you like that one? Okay, and each time you switch colors, you want to squeeze the water out there a little bit and just blot it on some paper towels or on your spare paper there, so you can switch over. Now, here's where we are so far. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the Pool Party and do a few of these flowers. As I said, I'm doing them lightly at first, and then you can go back and do some shading. If you feel like you've made something too dark like that, try and blot it a little bit. That'll help. Also makes it look more watercolory. But each time you do it, you're gonna come up with something different. So down here, I colored some of the flowers green. That's all right. We'll just go over and we'll get a little bit different tint. I think you're getting the idea of what we're doing here. Again, squeeze that water through and see if you can't get most of that ink off so you won't adulterate the rest of your colors. This one is the Highland Heather. Highland Heather shows up darker than I thought it would. A lot of times you can't tell the difference between it and, oh, Gorgeous Grape. That's when I like to stamp off and do a second generation on it. And as you can see, I'm not being too exact here. That's the beauty of watercolor. Give you another look there, what we're doing. Okay. I want to put a little purple over on this side. Seems like purple's my favorite color right now. I'm gonna make that one a little bit darker. Okay. And so on and so forth. This is the new, no, wait a minute. This is the new Magenta Madness. And if you don't have re-inkers, like I said, just get your brush tip wet, go back and forth here on your, ooh, you can see that's coming out pretty bright. On your ink pad itself, I'm gonna make the middle of this flower really bright. We can see if we can get some of that off and do maybe a little bit lighter part up in here. Ooh, I like that. I like the way that looks. Let's see here. If I can raise it up and show you a little bit better. Whoops. Okay. So I'll try to get through this, and I'm gonna put a little bit of pink on this one too. Just have fun and play with it. That's what this is all about. We aren't trying to make fine art here. We're having fun. So, I think I'll go a little, I'll put a little red down here. This is Poppy Parade. Hope everybody's doing well during these crazy, crazy times. I certainly do miss you guys. But we want everybody to be safe. Let's see. Okay. Looks like I'm gonna have plenty to go back on green. I'll make this. Oops, I dipped in the wrong one there. make this up here red. And then just a couple flowers left. Okay. So I think we're done there. We have some daffodil yellow here. And you can use any colors. You can do every shade of blue that you might want. You can leave the whole thing white if you like. There are a lot of pretty examples in the catalog using this set. Really nice examples. Okay, now I made the little center of that flower just a little bit darker. If I can get this up here where you can see it. I don't know, I keep trying to go the opposite direction there. Okay. And we'll just make this one up here yellow too. Okay, we're gonna go, now originally I did all the stems with the soft sea foam. Now I'm gonna go back with some of this granny apple green just to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. You can just be random with it. Put it on heavy, of course it's going to give it that darker look. Blot when you like. And you can certainly take more time with these things and get a happier ending. But look at that. And that just took a very few minutes. And I think it's very striking. I really like that. Okay, so you see here that there are a couple of banners already pre-shaped as a part of the die. And the stamp set has several different options that you can use. And they're together. So grateful to have a friend like you. Congratulations on your special day. Wishing you a happy birthday. And certainly you can cut these apart if you like to use them separately, or, you know, just ink up one side of them. Today we're gonna use So Grateful to Have a Friend Like You, and we're gonna stamp it in the Highland Heather. Let's see if I can get a clean sheet here. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Now I'm using, let me make sure I'm not doing this upside down and backwards. If you know what I mean, girls. Okay, so grateful to have a friend like you. And if you see the top of my head, please excuse me and don't look, because I'm not hardly dressed today, but oh well. Okay, so grateful to have a friend like you. Great. Now to finish the card, we are going to affix the pool party section or mat with pop dots on our daffodil yellow base. And I'm going to put quite a few on here. That way, I think it holds up better if you are putting it in the mail. It doesn't get crushed quite as easily. Boy, this is harder work than it looks like it would be, you all. Especially when you can't really see what you're doing, so I have to blame it on something, right? Okay, here we go. There we go. Now, I'm gonna center it here. And then I'm going to just use adhesive on the back of the banner area. You could use any of the adhesive sheets that put adhesive all over the same thing. And you can see that I cut the pool party mat just a little bit narrower than the die. I just thought that gave it a nice look. Okay, and we're gonna finish it with a couple of the enamel dots, 2020, 2022 enamel dots. I love the dots in the sequins. Today we'll just use the magenta since we used the magenta ink pad. And there you go. I hope you like that. Okay. The second sample uses the, pardon my arms, uses the stamp set that goes with this suite, the hand-drawn blooms. Now I just used the top portion that has the floral design on it today. I used some of the rainbow glimmer paper. This is regular size, gorgeous grape cardstock, cut at 5.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 4 1/4, and the rainbow glimmer cardstock is cut 1/4 inch shorter all the way around. That'd be 5 1/4 by 4. I used regular Whisper Right cardstock and cut a couple of circle dies. One of the circle dies is 3 3/4, the bigger one. The other circle die is 1 1/2. Okay, so this is very simple. The first thing we're gonna do is we are going to stamp in Gorgeous Grape the flower die. I mean the flower stamp, floral stamp. Here we go. Gonna ink this up good. Let's test it out. Oops. Okay. There we go. Next, we are going to stamp one of the flowers from the set on the small one. Now I'm going to do this on the third iteration there. I wanted it to be just faint. Then we will stamp Friend on top of that. There we go. Now all that's left is assembling the card. I love fast and easy, and I wanted the beautiful rainbow glimmer paper to have a chance to show up. I didn't want to cover it up with too much. So all we're gonna do is, and I love the rainbow glimmer paper in that it has the warm colors at one end and the cooler colors at the other. So there are just a lot of different things that you can do with this paper. You can use the die that we used on the previous card, overlap some of these colors and just cut out the die and mount it on a card. That would be beautiful. I love that paper. Okay, let's just apply some adhesive here. Center that on our card as best we can there. Put down our floral element. used pop dots on the sentiment. Wanted it to stand up just a little bit. Okay. The only thing that we have left is I'm going to add a couple of these adhesive backed sequins from the Suite. And I'm going to put a larger one up here at the top left corner and a small one next to it there. And a small one down here on the sentiment. And there you have it. I'd certainly like to get this card. I think it's beautiful and different. So those are our projects today. I hope that you enjoyed them. As I say, please be patient. Give me feedback. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. If you have any suggestions, certainly let me know that. I did want to say, in my last email, I mentioned that the mini catalogs, the new mini catalogs, mailed out July 6th, and you all should, here we go, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, get them within the next week or so. But I can show you the front of the catalog, and I want to say I'm very, very pleased. There are a lot of products in here that I just loved. I'm excited about the next video. Hopefully they'll get better as they go along. And the next video, I'm going to be using the Best Plaid Builder dies that are on page, I think, 133 in the catalog. And until then, I love you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.